Our guest on Free Speech Friday this Friday, our good friend Yvonne van Dongen, journalist, former lefty journalist, former imported culture warrior, now I think rationalist and fearless voice for logic and common sense in New Zealand. Yvonne, how are you?
I'm good, Sean.
All right.
Good to be here.
And man, we actually interviewed as a news source this week, publican and increasingly political operative for the Better Wellington team, Alistair Boyce. Good to have you on, Al. It's been a busy week for you, mate.
Yes, a week is a long time in politics, and sometimes a day is. But it's been riveting. Every week's riveting.
All right. Look, firstly, guys, weather, Alistair. How have you survived the last 24 hours? It's been pretty wild.
Oh, we lost one tree, but what really got me going was Wellington City Council and the government sending everyone home. I can understand the ferries and the planes not running, the airport being closed, but I can't understand everyone going home from work. Wellington's this is just normal weather patterns for Wellington.
Yeah.
It's no climate change here, Sean. This is just normal weather patterns for Wellington. I've lived here most of my life.
Okay, Yvonne, you're Wellington based?
No, I'm not Wellington based, but you know that I'm in Auckland.
Oh, that's
but
right.
I know that friends in Christchurch, there was a state of emergency in Christchurch, wasn't there, declared?
Yeah,
yesterday?
well, guys, I did talk this
yeah.
morning about a news story out of Selwyn that RNZ did yesterday afternoon that we talked about this morning, and it was as bad as it ever gets. And it was written by a guy who I think is Anna Leask, the woman who's written the Wade stuff for the Herald. He's related to her somehow, this guy, Richard Leask, I think it was, or Martin Leask. But this story from RNZ about the flooding in Selwyn has a picture of a guy outside the emergency centre. What do you think he's wearing?
Oh, I think I saw it on your Twitter thing, the keffiyeh. Or what
He's wearing a keffiyeh, and then he starts talking about how the flooding is all about climate change, Boise. How can you take a weather story and turn it into woke virtue signalling just like that?
Incredible, isn't it? Well, where there's a will, there's a way. They want to be woke. They want to say that there's a massive climate change problem and we're all going to die. But we're still here and we're still fighting, Sean.
All right. To my mind, it's what we've been talking about all week, guys. The new catch cry, Yvonne, is imported culture war. But it's such doublespeak because it seems to me the people who are screeching imported culture war are the very people importing the culture war.
Exactly. I mean, it's the Green Party people with their keffiyehs draped around them shouting imported culture wars. It's kind of risible, really, isn't it? And no one ever asks them, what do you mean by imported culture wars? No one ever asks that question. And also, it doesn't really have much of a sting to it, does it, really? I mean, I know it's supposed to be a slur to shut people down, but it doesn't really hurt that much. I mean, it's a global world. Everything's imported. I mean, so what, really?
Yeah. It used to be, Boise, though, didn't it, that there was no culture war, that there was nothing to see here. These issues aren't important. Issues like, you know, transgenderism and post-colonialism and all that. It used to be the left would say, oh, there's nothing to see, nothing happening, right?
Well, as soon as they start sort of thinking they might be losing the war, their backs to the wall, and they come out fighting and trying to cancel out everything you want to say. It's an ongoing tactic, and we've got to stand up to it.
Are you surprised, guys, that Christopher Luxon and Chris Bishop have endorsed the term imported culture wars?
Yeah, I am surprised, actually. Well, I shouldn't be surprised, though, should I? Really, because sometimes I think Christopher Luxon is in the wrong party. I really do. I think he really wants to be one of the good guys, you know, one of the kind people.
Do you think
he perceives
the left as the good guys? The woke are the good guys.
Isn't that the way they're always marketed? He wants to be liked. He wants to be desperately liked. He doesn't want to offend anybody. But the right knows that you come in and you clean up the mess up that the left have made, and you're going to have to you will, you know, suffer some slings and arrows, and people will hate you, especially the media. They're really going to hate you. And he's got to get used to them hating him. I mean, he wants to be effective. Yeah, it's disappointing. It is really disappointing. But it's a sign of the kind of leader he is, really.
Boyce, were you surprised at Luxon coming out and using the term? And Bishop?
Well, for Luxon, I think it's a copycat. For Bishop, I think he's just being mentally lazy.
Oh, that's a bit mean, Alistair.
Well, why can't he come up with a decent analysis? Why can't? It's just a throwaway line. It's very lazy intellectually. You know.
All right.
Come up with an analysis and tell us what's going on. Don't just consign it to it's an imported culture war or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Do you think they're using that term? And God, Bob McCroskey just edited together all the people who've said it. The most hilarious thing, guys, is that a lot of people who say it are, let's say, New Zealanders.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say that, Yvonne? Are we allowed to point out that the people who are screeching about imported culture wars look pretty imported themselves, or is that racist of me? Or xenophobic?
No, I sort of said that at Albert Park, that like 2 years ago, the people kind of shouting, it was Chanel Lau, and then the person who threw the tomato juice was
Eli Rabushkin,
Earlier. And I thought, this has all been created by New Zealanders. I just didn't think it was a New Zealand way of doing things. I really didn't. So they're importing their culture wars and their aggression here, I think. But it is ironic that they're talking about it. But what's weird is the media never asks them, what do you mean? What does that mean? They let them get away with these sloppy statements.
All right. Is it, am I allowed to say that they seem to be foreigners, Alistair, or immigrants?
I prefer it when you say whatever comes into your head, Sean. It's incredibly entertaining, and I tune in every day for it. And when you're not on your game, I leave unfulfilled. So you say whatever you like.
All right, but look, aren't we allowed to examine this? If they're going to screech imported culture wars, if they're going to hand it out, they've got to take it back, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, talking about wanting to be liked and wanting to fit in, Chris Luxon could have worn a dark suit to the Pope's funeral, couldn't he? Instead, he went Trump with the blue suit.
But there were quite a few blue suits, weren't they?
Yes.
When they panned out,
yeah,
there was quite a few.
And
So
it did
that
say
was a
dark
nothing story.
suit and a dark blue suit. Well, we're guys, Alistair. We know about the etiquette of these things. If someone says black suit, I'll wear a black suit, right? But if someone says dark suit and I got a dark blue suit, I don't think I'm breaking the protocol by wearing a dark blue suit.
Sean, I've only got one suit. It's not black and it's not blue, so I'm in real trouble. I can't go. I won't be able to go.
Alistair? Is it a safari suit?
No, it's just a cheap farmer's suit. That's all I've got.
Oh, God, okay. I'll never ask you. I'll never ask you to the Pope's funeral. I will never ask you to the Pope's funeral, Alistair.
It's a sort of greyish colour.
Yeah. At least, guys, Chris Luxon wasn't wearing a T-shirt over a suit. Okay, that's tick for that. But the absolute fashion statement now for him will be wearing a T-shirt over a suit with his name and the fact that he's the Prime Minister on it. He wore that. He didn't. Can you figure out why he had a T-shirt with his name on it and his job when he was walking around Gallipoli?
No, I can't figure out why. And I can't figure out why someone who was with him didn't tell him to take it off. I don't get it at all. Have you got a reason?
Well, I looked at the logo, Alistair. It looked like a New Zealand Trade and Enterprise logo. So someone in marketing.
He's trying to be young and hip. They're trying to appeal to younger demographics.
Alistair, we've got that wrong. I don't think young hip people wear monogram T-shirts, polo T-shirts.
Well, he's going to have to change his marketing department, isn't he? I mean, he surely can't have 52 comm staff like the Wellington mayor. He's probably got less than that, but they're not really doing their job, are they? Just
maybe
like
he needs to get a tat on his neck that says Prime Minister with a little fern.
God forbid.
You know what? I reckon he'd do that if the 12-year-olds reading his poll results for him told him to. I reckon he would. I reckon he's that sick.
His wife needs to run interference. He needs to be pulled into line by his wife. I'm sure his wife would be mortified at this sort of behaviour.
Okay, but one thing, guys, in the last couple of weeks, he hasn't appeared to go to war with President Trump, and he seems to have taken Winston's advice and just backed off a little bit from taking on the United States.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
That's good advice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's good that he's taking advice from Winston.
Yeah.
It's good to see from a wiser head. Yeah.
Now, have either of you seen the movie Conclave?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, now we can watch it for real on television next week because they're going to have a conclave. Are either of you Catholic?
No.
I'm married to a Catholic.
Well, doesn't that make you Catholic, Alistair?
Well, I crossed my fingers when we got married in the Catholic Church. I thought the best way out here is just to smile and go along with it all and cross my fingers and
you
hope
will
I don't
burn
get
in hell, Alistair Boyce.
No, I'm an Anglican. I'm C of E. Henry VIII already burned in hell for us.
Okay. Do either of you, and I don't know if it's a hangback, and I do come from Catholic heritage, but I look at and I suddenly realise how outside of New Zealand, which is, thank God, I got that wrong. I was going to say, thank God, we're largely a secular country. But do you get why people are so vitally interested in who the next pope is, guys, or not?
I do. I'm really interested this time. Yeah.
Why?
And I'm surprised because I think the kind of person they pick will be an indication of the winds of change blowing over the globe. So the previous pope was a sort of a more progressive pope.
He was a wokester. Let's be honest, he was a wokester.
Yeah. But not that anything really changed. But, you know, he was a woke. So he talked about social justice and he welcomed LGBT people and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just curious to see whether they will pick someone who will follow that line with the liberal branch or the progressive branch, or they'll pick someone more traditional. And I think it's really interesting now because over Easter, they had record attendances at all the Christian services throughout Europe and England and America. And they've been noticing an increase in interest, and especially from Gen Z. So I don't know if it's a blip. I don't know if it's a blip.
Yeah,
or
we
if
do seem to be in an age of some sort of religious or Judeo-Christian religious revival, which worries the hell out of me, to be honest.
No, I think it's good. I think it's like a reassertion of Christian values because they're under attack in Europe. There's a whole Islamification. So I can understand it. And also, having nothing hasn't really worked for people either because all these other mental things have taken hold. Mm-hmm. So I think people have got a kind of hunger for a restoration of traditional values.
Well, Yvonne, really. I do not need a pope to tell me that. You telling me that from where you sit tells me that these issues are now abroad. Alistair, do you think we are having a re-emergence of, if you like, religion as a defining social characteristic that will get involved in societal change and the conflicts and the tensions in societies?